How can we forgive 70,000 times 70,000? Saint Germain once said that before he made his ascension, he made 2 million right decisions. That's a lot of right decisions. Whether we forgive 70 times 70 or 70,000 times 70,000, I am prepared to believe that most of us have made that many errors. If we have made that many errors, then we can afford to forgive others who may have wronged us 70,000 times. In other words, if we are willing to forgive and forgive totally, the great law will bring back to us the balance of our karma and the transmutation of our sin. So it is imperative to forgive that many times. Well, we say this person was a murderer, this person was a child molester or a rapist. God has given us this teaching and this understanding that it is ours to forgive. It is ours to extend mercy, but it is God's to bring the judgment. And so God says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay, thus saith the Lord." So God always weighs in the balance the deeds of evildoers and brings them to that point of divine justice. We don't have to be avenging angels because God has created angels to do this. I have talked to many people over the years who say, "I just can't forgive my ex-husband who molested all of my children when they were young." God takes care of the justice, and we take care of the forgiveness. And that means that God is fair, and that the evildoer will receive his judgment, and that we will find that the mercy of God is the greatest healing unguent that heals our own souls, heals our relationships, heals others. Mercy is the first step on the path. Saint Germain has said to move away from the coasts. How far away must we move? I don't know. But I'm about as far away from the coast as I can be, and I feel very comfortable being this far away from the coast. And it's not because I'm concerned about cataclysm as much as I am concerned about pollution at the levels of the coast. The prophecies that have come about saying that there will be cataclysm, whether they will be or not, living in the mountains of Montana is a wondrous way for purification, communion with God, and walking and talking with Maitreya. This is Maitreya's mystery school, all of the land that we have. If you are concerned about not being on the coasts and how far in you should be, why don't you study under those who know, seismologists, those who deal with earthquake patterns, those who see where the faults are and who tend to know scientifically the conclusions that they have reached. I do not want to be a prophet of doom. I do not want to say the coasts are going down. The last time I was on the Pacific Coast in California. The reason I wanted to get away was not because I didn't love the ocean and the people and the state where I have lived, but because in the presence of so many millions of people, I find that I don't have the ability to commune with God without interference of so many minds. I was walking on the beach alone, and I was listening to all the minds of the people, not only walking up and down the beaches, but in their homes, where there are thousands and millions of people. And I thought to myself, I can't live here anymore. It's too dense. I have to move on to higher ground. You need to find the answer to this question yourself. I can't give you an answer. The answer lies in your Holy Christ self and your I Am presence. I have heard the teaching that evil is not real and its appearance has no power. Please explain this. I have seen evil and it looked real. That's right. It looks real. It looks real, but it's not real. Evil is not real. The only reality it has is smoke and mirrors, a pretense at being all powerful, and at many times very threatening. But to defang evil, you have to declare that it's not real. And when the devils hear you say this, that evil is not real and its appearance has no power, they are deflated, because they thought with all of their pomp and their threatenings and all the things that they put upon people that we would finally believe that they are real. They have no reality because they cut their tie from God eons ago. We have to go after them as we were going after our dweller on the threshold. We have to go after it because they have a pretense to reality, and in the pretense of reality, they do very evil things. So what we are doing is we are stripping of them of their power, whether people in embodiment who are cruel and evil, whether those on the astral plane. When we deny this, we are stripping them of their power, and we are also impressing upon ourselves through an engram, through a pattern, that we do not accept that evil forces are more powerful than God. And that's the reason for this mantra. We have to know this and affirm it. Otherwise, we'll be in fear and trembling all the rest of our lives that evil has the power to overtake us. Well, even evil doesn't have the power to overtake us unless we give it the power. So we take the power away by saying, evil is not real and its appearance has no power. That finishes them off right there. That's it. During a dictation, do the masters enter your aura and literally stand over you? Yes, they do. That's the answer. What's the best way to learn control of one's emotions? I think the control of one's emotions, of course, goes back to childhood patterns, whether or not you were taught to control your emotions. One thing that you cannot do in the control of the emotions if you are not balanced in the food you take in. You should be balanced in your chakras and in your organs. If you eat the extremes of meat on this side and the extremes of sugar on that side, you can't control your emotions. When you have too much yin, you'll be weeping. When you have too much meat, you'll be angry. And try as you will, you cannot control that, because you means the whole body. The four lower bodies must be balanced, and that's when you can control your emotions. So that's the starting point. If you eat wrong, you won't control your emotions. You will just fly off the handle. You'll get upset. You may get depressed. You may get the sugar blues. You know, it doesn't work. If you want to be an ascended master, You have to carve out the right diet for you, beginning with the basic principles of the macrobiotic diet and seeing what works for you. So that's the first angle. I've seen it in my own life. And perhaps you've observed your own bodies and have seen the same thing. Emotional control begins with equilibrium in the spirit and a strong sense of what your body needs, what it does not need. In other words, don't self-indulge when it comes to food. You will pay the price sooner or later. When the angels wage war against the forces of darkness, can they be injured? Yes, they can be injured. Angels can be injured, but they're also extremely adept. They're powerful. They know their work. They move with the archangels. And they go out for certain periods of time within the 24-hour period. They go to the battlefront, the fresh troops. They wage war against the forces of darkness, and according to the cycle that their hierarchs determine, they go back for an R&R, they recuperate, and they come out again, and they go again. What we know about the seraphim is they surround the great central sun. Certain numbers of them then hold a balance and stay in rings of light around the great central sun. Then it's their turn to move out and out and out, and then those seraphim come to earth, wage war, stay here for a certain amount of time, take care of their wounded, take them home, go back for the R&R in the great central sun, and then they come out again. So that's the story of angels. They work very, very hard for us, and we've been told that since the dark cycle has gotten darker, that Archangel Michael and his legions spend even more time in doing battle with the fallen ones than they have, let's say, in centuries ago. I've heard the teaching that our personal karma does not descend upon us until we are 12 years old. If that's true, why do terrible things happen to children? Well, children can make new karma. However, there is also a teaching that is given that in the acceleration of life and the acceleration of cycles that we are in on the planet, that many among us have received our first karma in our mother's womb. We may have been damaged. Perhaps there was a compromise and the mother wanted to abort us, and yet we came anyway. Or if we asked and went before the Lords of Karma in the etheric octave, the heaven world, before we descended, may we start balancing our karma immediately in the womb, the first year of our life, the second year of our life, so that we can balance that karma and work diligently at it, so that when we come of age and we've been educated and we have something to offer to the world, we will not have this karma tagging along behind us. So heaven deals with us individually. I think that's something that we all should understand. We are not just a mass of faces before the Lords of Karma. We are one individual who stands before them. And according to everything we've ever done and been in the records of the Keeper of the Scrolls, we then are given an opportunity to do what is the best thing for us now. And the way we make our decision, and the Lords of Karma make that decision with us, is that we go to the heart of our Holy Christ self. We see the records of our past. We understand that we have left some unfinished business, left it undone. Then we want to go back. We want to re-embody. We want to start that karma at an early age. Or if we receive a life's review while in embodiment, and we are taken to the Grand Teton Retreat, if for some reason the Lords of Karma wish to talk with us about our mission and so forth, we have that added impetus. So the older the soul, in my understanding and my observation, the longer you have lived on planet Earth in previous root races, and the more spiritual you are in your path, the more you will accelerate, the more you will want to find this path, this teaching, and finally determine that this is the life in which I want to make my ascension, and I'm going to learn how to do that and see to it that I balance every bit of my karma. So there's nothing cut and dried about the, waiting till 12. 12 is an age of puberty usually. In some cultures it's earlier, some later. But there's just no steadfast rule as to how this is going to happen. The whole society we live in has changed. Children younger and younger are on drugs and so forth. Is it possible to totally get rid of the dweller on the threshold while still in embodiment? It's not only possible, but if you're going to make your ascension, you have to absolutely bind and cast out that dweller on the threshold, otherwise known as the carnal mind. You can keep that dweller under key and lock, chained, like you would chain a wild beast. And of course it breaks the chain when you get angry or you are off-center. And so if you really have this one-pointed goal of getting back to the heart of your I Am Presence, you don't let your body get into an out-of-alignment state. So the dweller on the threshold, we work on it with the archangels, with the ascended masters. The dweller on the threshold in most people is so powerful that we don't take our bare hands and go wrestling with it any more than we would wrestle with a dinosaur or a lion or anything else. We call to the archangels to bind our own dweller on the threshold, even as we call for its binding, but we always call through our I Am Presence and our Holy Christ Self. So the dweller on the threshold is a beast like any other beast of prey that roams the world. And so we have to be very careful, because the dweller is cunning. The dweller is like the serpent. What is the most important thing to do to help people who are dying? I think the absolute most important thing to help people who know that they will pass from the screen of life shortly or in some terminal disease taking longer is to bring them the teachings of the Ascended Masters, the Violet Flame, to acquaint them with the various books and shows we've seen of life beyond this realm where people have come back, near-death experiences. So if we can give people who are dying the Violet Flame, the calling upon the law of forgiveness, if we can talk to them about everlasting life. I know people very close to me, relatives and others, who just had the sense that there was nothing beyond because they felt guilty, they didn't believe in God, they had never gone to church, they had never gone to confession. Well, all of those things that we don't do not help us when we have to meet our God. Why did God create the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the first place, therefore providing the potential for our fall? Because He had to test us. He had to test us. And the God that we're talking about is Lord Maitreya, walking in the garden. And the garden is Maitreya's mystery school. And at the mystery school were many twin flames. And yet there came into the mystery school fallen angels who are called serpents. And so they use their rationalism, their rationale, thou shalt not surely die, which makes no sense whatsoever. You either die or you don't die. But the devil said to Eve, if you eat of this fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you will not surely die. But Maitreya had told them, you will die if you eat of it, because the reason you die is because you now have partaken of duality, the duality of good and evil and two-eyed vision. So the cunning fallen angels came to corrupt the sons and daughters of God of the early root races. And we have a right to be tested because we made karma and did sin in previous periods of 2,000 years, going way back. And so we had to go back to Maitreya's mystery school. Maitreya's mystery school is not the beginning, even though it appears to be the beginning in the book of Genesis. The cycles go back much farther than what we have in our recorded scriptures. And so God had to test us because we left heaven. We left the realms of perfection. And when we were in heaven, we had the flame of immortal life. When we left heaven, compromised our souls, went through the mystery school, failed our tests, then we lost our immortality and we became mortals. And so we are here on earth because God so loved us that He allowed us to have remaining in our beings this tiny little threefold flame, 1/16 of an inch in height. And so God says, this is your divine spark. Long ago, this threefold flame was as large as your own physical manifestation, but you compromised it, and you lost your immortality. So now if you want to get back your immortality, you have to prove to me that you are not going to break my rules. And I have sent you Maitreya